Going to Heaven on a Mule is not part of Warner Brothers' Censored 11. To be perfectly honest, I'm kind of surprised because it's very awkward and not even the most interesting narrative. I mean, it's interesting enough. I'll get in with the narrative in a moment. This was released in 1934. It's directed by Freleng and written by Ben Hardaway, with vocals provided by the Guardsmen. And it's about this worker, this field worker, who is drinking on the job, and he falls asleep drunk, and he dreams that he has gone to heaven, and we have this great as in colossal, this gate, this entryway to heaven with pair-o dice, as in a pair of dice, a little bit of visual humour there if you like, and these angel characters, and well, I won't go into too much more detail about it, but it's basically him dreaming that he's gone to heaven while drunk on the job. And needless to say, it's not the kindest cartoon to black individuals. And there are other Warner Brothers cartoons where racism is, well, today it's racism. Back in the 1930s, it probably wouldn't have been considered racism, but obviously we know things a little bit more differently now. And I am surprised it's not part of the Censored 11, and I feel like it's actually worse than some of the Censored 11s, not just with this drunk character. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being drunk. Any character can be drunk, but the way this character is depicted, there's basically nothing favourable about his character and the environment he's in, the setting he is in. It's not exactly the best portrayal either, and obviously it's a product of its time. I'm not saying I'm offended by it. I'm not. There's nothing about it that could offend me because it's not about me. But I feel like I'm just confused as to why it's not part of Censored 11 when it is worse than quite a few of the Censored 11 cartoons. I don't know too much about the history of this. Some of the Censored 11, I know quite a bit about the background. I know that a lot of people, black individuals working on some of the Censored 11s, actually saw them as, celebrations of a certain kind of music or culture. That's not going on in Going to Heaven on a Mule. Absolutely not. Do I recommend it? For the right reasons. To see what certain depictions were like in the 30s. Of course, if we erased this kind of thing, we'd never learn from it. So to see what things were like, how they thought they could portray certain characters, kind of stories they thought they could get away with. I mean, it's not so much the story itself. The whole falling asleep drunk and dreaming you're going to heaven, that in itself is okay. But it's kind of everything else surrounding it. That's the bit, or the bits that are awkward. So I recommend it from an analytical perspective. That's an example of how not to do a cartoon. If you're interested in the history of Warner Brothers or the history of animation, absolutely. But if you're looking for an entertaining cartoon, not at all. If not badly animated, obviously I'm not talking specifically about the characters, but in terms of the backdrops, the attention to detail, all of that's okay. And in fact, the sky, there's a bit where we have these angels and we have the sky above them, and the sky looks really beautiful. And the quality of the copy online is not that great, but even then the sky looked quite nice. So there are bits of animation, that's okay. But in general, it's not a good cartoon, put it that way. If you're curious, check it out. But if not, I'd say it's a good idea to not bother watching it.